Hello, it's so good to see you. Well, this dress doesn't have pockets. Women's clothes don't have pockets because when they do, we put rocks in them and walk into lakes. Don't worry, I'm not weird. Recently I went along to a psychiatrist and he diagnosed me with autism. Immediately. Too quick. He was like, how'd you go making friends in school? And I was like, oh, and he was like, autism. It's weird getting diagnosed with autism as an adult because you sort of have to like look back at your life and realize that a lot of stuff makes a lot of sense now. Like I remember in primary school I was doing this project on Steve Irwin. You're familiar. And in the middle of me doing the project on Steve Irwin died. And I was really upset. Because I had to change the tense in my project. From is to was. I thought I'd finish my diorama. I had to add a plasticine stingray death scene. I'm glad that joke went over. I did it recently at a gig where there were a bunch of Americans in, and they all went desperately silent. I forgot that he's there, Princess Diana. I'm not for everyone. That's something you realise doing this. Not for everyone. My aesthetic is pretty consistently girl who's about to lose her virginity in a barn. She's nervous. There are some like social rules that I understand from watching them a lot of times, but there are some social rules that I still do not get at all. Like, who told guys to do that thing where they write the alphabet with their tongues? That person should be in jail with that bullshit Dolly Doctor advice. I feel like I'm on Sesame Street. I got dudes writing Anna Karenina on my clit to prove they've read it. Also, as an additional PSA, you're supposed to do cursive letters. Just in case he's in. You know what happens when you do a block letter A? You miss the clit entirely. A lot of negative space in a capital letter. I was a self-harmer as a teenager, which really kills a room. I can do a trigger warning for this next bit, but you have just been watching me do stand-up comedy. So I assume you're fine with other forms of self-harm also. If you were concerned for my safety, you could have intervened by now. There's nothing less conducive to conversation than telling someone that you used to be a self-harmer. Try it. I recommend it at a party if you're trying to get out of a boring conversation. People will wander off. They will find dip for their chip. Telling people you used to be a self-harmer is about as effective as telling them that you're really into Warhammer. Like, people are concerned, but not enough to keep chatting. Also, for something that people are supposedly uncomfortable with me talking about, they're very comfortable with very wild opinions. I had a man make fun of me once because all of my scars are on the wrong side of my arm. He was like, "What were you doing? There are no veins there to hit." Like it was a criticism of my technique. What have we done to men that they feel comfortable making fun of me for not offing myself? Also, personally, self-harm, it's like jazz. It's all about the veins you don't hit. My mum told me recently about the first psychologist I ever went to see. Apparently I'd been diagnosed with autism much earlier than now, but she wrote the guy off. She was like, "No, my daughter's normal." She keeps telling teachers that she feels like a cartoon character in a movie about real people. Normal! And my GP had diagnosed me with two things that I do have, which is anxiety and depression. Spot on! The cool ones. Childhood anxiety as well, vintage. But this guy, within 2 weeks of seeing me, he diagnosed me with number 1, autism, because apparently it's coming out of my pores. And number 2, narcissism. And I just don't know who else he wanted me to talk about. It was therapy. I've been Grace Jarvis. Thank you so much.